Hello, I'm Lucy, and I'm going to be talking to you today about using puppets as an instructional tool for content literacy in a primary art class. So, for my project, I created a puppet of Faith Ringgold, um, and here are some more photos and also a photo of Faith Ringgold. This puppet would be used to introduce a unit on narrative art for my first graders, and we use Faith Ringgold as a mentor artist for this unit. When we talk about narrative art, we're talking about the idea of telling a story visually or through a work of art. So often this is personal narratives, but it can also be fiction or fantasy narratives as well. So here's some photos of the process. I sewed the body, and then the head is made from paper mache, and from there I added some accessories and embellishment. You might be wondering why we teach about Faith Ringgold in an art classroom. Faith Ringgold creates really unique works of art called story quilts that combine written and visual literacy. And they're also a multimodal text in and of themselves because of those two elements that she's combining. So she has a quilt that she sews, and then in the middle, she paints a narrative. And along the outside, where these white spaces are, the narrative is also written with words. So through her story quilts, she really exemplifies the genre of narrative art or telling a story through art. And she also deals with themes of family, culture, and identity. So that makes her art especially relevant to children and connects with children because she often tells stories about her life as a young child and her family's culture. She also has a book called Tar Beach, which you may be familiar with. It's based on one of her story quilts, and it serves as a really useful companion text for this unit. You might be wondering why puppets are an instructional tool that I would use with young students. That's for several reasons. First of all, puppets are very engaging for young students. They're multimodal because they bridge both visual and oral storytelling. You have a visual prop, but you also have that oral storytelling tradition that so many students are familiar with from their own home background. Puppets are also familiar to students because many of students' everyday literacies, like children's television programs, often have puppets. So that builds another bridge between students' home and school literacies. Puppets also have a rich artistic and cultural tradition. Almost every country in the world has a tradition of puppet storytelling, so it can be an interesting lens to look at different cultures through. In terms of CAMP, I've already brushed on a lot of this. Like I said, puppets connect with children because children see them often in everyday media. Faith Ringgold also allows for connection because her stories of childhood mirror experiences that students may have had. In terms of assessment, this puppet wouldn't be used as an assessment tool. It would be used to present information. But following that presentation of biographical information about Ringgold, formal or formative assessments would show whether students understood the information presented. As I explained, puppetry is multimodal because it appeals to both visual and auditory learners. And Ringgold's story quilts are also multimodal because they have written and visual text. In terms of prior knowledge, many students are familiar with puppets, as we talked about before, and many students also already know the book Tar Beach, so they have that prior knowledge or connection with Ringgold's work. In terms of engagement, puppetry is really engaging to students because there's an element of humor, visual storytelling, and also it's just something out of the normal that gets their attention. In terms of differentiation, this would be paired with a lot of other instructional strategies that overall would provide a really differentiated lesson because students are gaining knowledge in a variety of ways. So through this puppet, but also by looking at work by Ringgold, watching videos about her, and other instructional strategies. All right, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed learning about using puppets in art class.